is this is special. This is
I
really
mean,
bad. Yeah,
like, you know, I'm not gonna lie, it does get kind of funny like that. Let me just throw this in the background. We'll just have this playing in the background. But yeah, no, I do think it's really cool seeing how you find a lot of these different like RPGs, because it's funny, because for me, I didn't really understand like how single player RPGs worked and stuff until like I really sat down and saw your streams and hell even reached out to talk with you. So it's really interesting for me to see sort of like, I didn't know this was like also a style of like TTRPG that people played, because I'm only familiar more with like the more traditional stuff of things like D&D and Pathfinder and stuff like that people have typically usually always played. So seeing something like that, I'm like, man, it's so cool, because sometimes it's like I'll watch a stream and I'm like, man, this is the craziest fortune teller stream I've ever watched.
It really does feel that way sometimes. Yeah. Because I try to play a lot of different systems, because sometimes I'm in the mood for different stuff. You know, sometimes I just really want to play something crunchy, a lot of rules. I don't want to write anything. I just roll a bunch of dice. And then sometimes it's the opposite, because I feel like the journaling games are a lot more forgiving, because you're coming up with the story yourself, and it's, you know, you can kind of decide. But yeah, I guess, because the thing is, solo TTRPGs haven't really had... I think that probably the most well-known one is that 1,000-year-old vampire one, but even then, it's still considered an indie game, you know? And so technically every single solo TTRPG is an indie game, and they're all so different from each other. It's a lot of fun.
No, but I think that's like the best part about it. I think if anything, that captures like really the heart and soul of what TTRPGs are, at least to me, because a lot of it is like a lot of freeformness, creativity, and especially like as someone that I primarily DM games in like 3.5 and Pathfinder. There's a lot of rule bending, okay? I'm gonna be real with you, because we kind of cheat a little bit here and there, and that's okay, because as the DM, you're allowed to cheat, and it's all about making a more fun setting for everyone. Like, for example, I usually run something which is known as the rule of cool. Everyone who plays TTRPGs may have an idea of that, where, you know, if a player has a cool suggestion and I think it'll be cool, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah. Like, the thing is, at the end of the day, you play TTRPGs, yes, for the game aspect, but also for the story. And if, I don't know, I just don't think it's fun if you play as like a huge stickler for the rules at the cost of the story.
Yeah. Trust me, I know a lot about that one. And it's funny because typically, like within like even my own D&D group, we do have some rules lawyers, but it's more like I appreciate that it's like rules lawyer when it matters, but at times it's like we learn, okay, you know what, we can let this slide, okay? Because like especially like when it comes to playing with new players, ideally you just want to have it be something that is easy to get into, because I'm going to be honest, when we're playing older systems, it's a lot of number bloat. It can look very complicated, but after you just kind of get the flow of how things work, like how does your attack rolls work, what should I be doing each time it's my turn to attack in combat, and then also even just getting comfortable in role-playing, especially like in a tabletop setting, I think that's, you know what, let's even talk layer one. I think that's very important to really establish with your table, where it's like, it's okay to roleplay. We're all doing something goofy. If you feel it's cringy, that's fine. We're all here to have fun, okay? I'm not going to judge you for not being able to roleplay. And hell, even I've had a situation like that where like I've sat down and talked with some of my friends where it's like, if for me, I would have an issue of, say I'm playing as a character that has a lot of knowledges about different things. My problem is, if I'm not too versed in the setting or within the world that the DM has created, I would need to ask, hey, I may not know it, but can we work together on that? And then, you know, we'll do things like, oh, okay, I need to make a check on maybe knowledge nobility to learn about the local leaders. And then they'll give me something I can use as, you know, a way to convey this to the party. Or if I don't know how I would convey it, you can emote it out. You can maybe say, well, I'll tell you a little bit about that, and then you could even just say out of character, yeah, this is what it's like, this is the information, and then you can go, and such, you know what I mean? There's ways to be creative about it, ways to really like, you know, let that go, and I think that's the best way to go about it.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, because the whole thing is we're role playing. But you know, when you're playing a character that's supposed to be, have you ever read a book where the main character is described as this like super genius, but then when you actually read the dialogue and stuff, it's like, where is it? No.
Literally every teen novel you could read.
Right, yeah. It's like, oh, I'm so smart. I have a 200 IQ, and I'm just like, what? But so I run into that problem. Well, I'm sure I'm not the only one that runs into that problem. If you're supposed to be role playing this smart character, like, what if I want to play a scientist? But I don't know that much about, it's just like, I think that's something that you have to work with the DM on to make sure, like, okay, me personally, head empty, but this character is supposed to be smart. Can you, like, help me with what they're supposed to say here? What they would, like, that's one of my questions I ask too, is like, what would my character know about this?
Oh, yeah. No, and I think that's like a good way to go about it, because it's like you want to make sure that, one, you're not overreaching a boundary on that the DM would be like, okay, you wouldn't know that, or stuff like that. It's like, I think that's the best way to go. Obviously, rule of thumb, always check with your DM. It's usually okay. Just ask them. And what's the worst thing that'll happen? They say no. Or if your DM wants it to happen, we can figure out a way to work around it. But I don't know if, because I know you mentioned you were lurking around a bit yesterday in last night's stream. I don't know if you caught what I was talking about when it comes to like playing as an evil character. And
no, I didn't.
Okay, now I want your opinion on this, because I know this is maybe from my perspective as someone that like, I joined a D&D table where, unironically, there's always at least 1 to 2 evil characters, and it's mostly because, well, the classic, my friends are edgelords. But it's interesting because when you look at a lot of like how this goes. Also, hold on, let me update our category here, because I'm just setting us up here. And we'll just goof around on some RuneScape while we're just talking about this, because this is just a really fun topic. I love talking about TTRPG stuff, and especially with how goofy it gets with like rules as written versus like DM ruling of cool, because you love playing as an evil character, although you don't play them too often. So I used this as a good example from last night, where in Kingmaker, one of our party members is lawful evil, and you wouldn't really get that until you really get to know them, and it's like, okay, maybe their dialogue can be a tip or a giveaway, but the thing is, you can be an evil character. You don't have to throw the game. Now, I know that may sound a little bit like, wow, what a no-brainer, and hold on one second. I just remembered I have to actually click to change the title. I forgot to hit done. My bad. Oh my god, what the hell? There's like a million different categories. I typed RuneScape and there's like 12 different things. There we go. All right, let me just jump us over here on the screen and kill the music. Maybe get some game audio in as well. Oh, I have you sitting on top of the chat. That'll be fun.
That's cute.
You'll be hanging out there. And
my
don't mind
perch.
me. And let me just make sure we're getting some game audio. I also had to like make sure like I ran to the bank here in RuneScape and like hit my pin, so I'm not showing that on screen.
Oh yeah,
The classic RuneScape dilemma. Wow, how did your account get hacked? Oh, I showed my pin on screen.
Right.
Which reminds me, hold on, let me we'll kill the in-game music for right now while we do this. But I do definitely want to touch upon like the whole evil character dilemma, because I know it's usually something that a lot of like DMs get stuck on, especially like when it comes to feeling comfortable when you're running a campaign, because I know a lot of DMs do have an issue where for them they can't seem to oh whoops, I didn't mean to kill that. Hold on. You know what, we'll put this on in the background while we do this. Yeah, this will work. Let me just lower this. So when it comes to like having an evil character in your party, I think it's totally fine. Let your players play evil characters, because I think it's more fun and more engaging when you have a more interesting like party to work with. The problem only really becomes an issue if the player who's playing an evil character can't really control themselves, and I mean that in the nicest way, where it's like, you can be evil, but you don't need to throw the game. Like, think about it as a sense of, I think a good example of an evil character in a tabletop setting that I could think of, oddly enough, comes from Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous for me, where one of the party members that you get, he joins your party, is an oracle named Darren, and Darren is a noble, and it's funny because he's lawful evil, and he is a healing cleric.
Okay, yeah, all right.
And his whole shtick is, it's like, he comes across as very sarcastic, a little bit moody, but he's not a bad guy. He's just evil because, well, you know, events that happen to him, but also because he can be kind of a dick sometimes, but he's also a very funny guy.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, that's what I say, at least to me, is I think a good example of someone who's evil. But then another example of an evil party member in that game is a general named Regil who joins you, where he's another example of lawful evil, where he's more about being like a militant ruler, but he's more of like, I'm the cold general, where it's like, there's some injured soldiers, he goes, leave them, let them go join another platoon. I don't want them on mine because they're just going to be a hindrance. And it's like, you can choose to stand up against them and complain about it, or you can agree with them and say, I can see why, because you're being logical, you know. But, you know what I mean? It's definitely something like that. So it's like, I say, you know, being evil is interesting because you can have evil characters with nuance. Also, hey, thank you for the raid. Also, what's up? And see, you're such a terrible party member. You won't need evil ones but me. Yeah, exactly. Hey, thank you. How you doing, Elise? You doing good? What were you up to, man? Oh, man. What the hell is that? Wait, what? Bro, why is there just... Hold up. Hold up. Why is there just a scarab dung beetle just... Oh, that's random. Okay. Also, my bad. I forgot to do that. So you can see that. I'm like,
oh, what? I actually have your stream open and just muted. It's fine.
Oh my god. I'm like, what? Why is there just a giant dung beetle just chilling there? Okay. All right.
It wants to tightrope too, but it's considering the practicality of rolling the sphere across the
Of course. What?
That's
man. Okay.
All
right. Well, he's got a monkey on his back. Okay, I'm gonna let him do his thing.
This game is it's interesting. To talk about evil characters, so I don't know. So I know that I've talked about being a teacher, but I actually also have run like the D&D club at school for the last 2 years. And if you know anything about middle school age children, are by far the most chaotic, you know, little gremlins, you know, almost every... So there's 2 types of characters in D&D that a middle school child will create. It's always 100% going to be either a chaotic neutral character or a lawful good. Those are the only 2 categories they ever pick. So then you've got those characters where you've got a whole party of one or 2 of those, right? And then it just like all heck breaks loose because they're creating their characters. And it's like, can I make my backstory one where I'm trying to kill his character? You're supposed to work together, so
I mean, but
you can.
Oh man,
but is that going to be a hindrance? And they kept arguing, and so one campaign I literally started with them just all in jail, and so they had to break out of jail.
That's funny.
Because,
no, it's funny, bro. He is wigging out over there. Okay, yeah, you know what? I don't know about that. Let's see. Also, tied from a large backrooms group stream gaming. Oh my god. So you're going to raid and run tonight? Okay. No, Runescape's been doing good. We've just been hanging out. Yeah, teamwork with a side of stabbing. No, that's so funny.
That's kind of teamwork, right?
You know, it's so funny because it's like, because I got into D&D in like such a very strange way that, you know, I hadn't even thought about it in that perspective as well, where it's like, I know, like, I've seen videos where people talk about, like, D&D horror stories, and, like, to try and run a campaign for kids can be kind of tricky, because, again, rulings are always difficult, and it also turns into a case of, like, you know, how can I dumb down a rule or explain it in a way that, you know, a kid can understand? Or in a sense of, like, you know, how you shouldn't make a story too complicated that a kid couldn't follow. You know what I mean? So I can definitely understand, like, when it comes to like trying to write a campaign for kids can be definitely difficult. I don't envy that. I can imagine.
That part isn't so bad because they're older, and so usually that's not the hard part. The hard part is actually the opposite. They understand the game too well, and all they know about it, they know from Critical Role. So they're trying to like whiz up every single NPC.
You know?
They want, you know what I mean? And that's a phrase I wish I never had to say, but I have to say it because
I can't
that's
believe
what
it.
I hear. Like, can we roll to riz up the skeleton? Like,
wow.
You know what? Sure. Go ahead.
Oh my god, that's too funny. That's killing me, man. Like, they're, you know, because I've heard about that where like people jokingly say they're like, you know, Critical Role kind of changed the expectation for what people would expect in a D&D setting. Like, I know, I don't know if you've heard, but like I know like there's sort of like, I guess like a stereotype or sort of the guess of like every DM needs to be like Matt Mercer. You need to be engaging. You need to talk in voices. You need to do this and that. I'm gonna be honest. When I DM, I definitely don't. I mean, like, look, at most, like I go at most when if I have a goblin character, I'll try to like think like, okay, what type of goblin are we talking? Are we talking about like a regular D&D goblin, or are we talking about like a World of Warcraft goblin where they talk like they're from New Jersey and they're in the mob, okay? They talk like this, all right? Then I'm like,
every single goblin I've encountered in a D&D campaign always ends up sounding like that. I'm just like, is this just a thing? Why?
Yeah, man. Look,
why?
Look, as much as I love Warcraft, man, it set the expectations of some things where it's like, I think goblin and I immediately think, okay, New Jersey mobster. He's like, he's here to collect. You gotta give me what I need, okay? Back away and give me the gas. Something stupid.
Exactly the last goblin that I encountered in a campaign, and he's like, I'm not even gonna do the accent. It's gonna be terrible, but it's like Lenny, and he owns like totally legitimate goods store. Totally legitimate sources here. Kinda, oh my god.
Oh my god. Look, that's just like half the fun on that. It's like, but yeah, so like, I know me and my friends have talked about it where it's funny, like I have to laugh because I go, my D&D group, it makes me laugh because whenever I talk about it on stream, it makes me feel like I'm way older than I am because a lot of people play 5e. I play like 3.5 and Pathfinder like first edition, and that's like mostly seen as like older games. I know people are not really that big fans of that because they're like, oh, there's too many things, and it's like, I'm gonna be honest with you, no, there is a lot of things, but I think it helps out because there's so much content. You can really like pick and choose and really sit down to make a character that you want, and it can be like whatever, really. It can go pretty complicated. Like, let's say, I guess a good example would be one of my friends wanted to create, it was his first time playing D&D, and we were playing 3.5. He wanted to recreate a character from JJK, which I can't remember his name right now, but it's the dude that can like summon shadow creatures, I believe, or something like that, and wanted to use like contact spells. So I was like, okay, well, I can think of something like that where you could be like a Duskblade, because that's a Gish, so you have someone who can you know, cast spells in melee, enhance their weapon, and you can also learn summoning spells to summon creatures, and we could just give them a visual flair to be iconic or like match up to what you want. Because look, I'm okay with bending the rules for style. Everyone does. So you know what? We can make it work. And it also kind of like depends on what type of style you want and everything. So it's like, that's my only thing. I guess that I'd say from my initial read through of like reading through 5th edition stuff, then looking back to older things, in 5th edition, obviously, like, look, there's builds, and I say that in like a meta min-max thing because, you know, if you want to play builds, sure, you could, but if you want to make a character with flair, there's ways to do it. And I do like that even within modern editions, you can still do it, but it feels a little bit, I guess, slimmed down a little bit, is in my opinion. because, and this is just a hot take from me, Wizards of the Coast just didn't make enough 5e books, which is very strange when you look at like how long 3.5 went on. There's so much content for that, whether it be official books or not. It's just very surprising where I'm like, you know, you give players a lot of options with how they can like build a character or, you know, more content. Like I think some of my favorite books from 3.5 are setting books because there may not necessarily be a story written, but we're going to give you a location and different mechanics that you can use to like play to your advantage. So for example, a book that I always talk about as an example would be like Sandstorm, and it basically gives you a whole book's worth of samples and examples of how would you run a campaign in the desert. You know, like if you wanted to run a more complicated survival story, how would you do it? And I had to laugh because I looked at the tables and I'm like, oh god, all right, so you're telling me after every couple of steps the players are going to need to make sure that they have water in their inventory so they can drink it, have rations, or else they will start suffering from heat stroke. And unfortunately, if you're a warrior, a cleric, or a paladin, and you just happen to be wearing like heavy plate mail or something, you are the first to get heat stroke. Okay, well, what level of heat stroke are we talking about? But you see what I mean? Like we're getting into like, there's so many levels of nuance and detail, and as the DM, you could choose to omit things. But you see what I mean? It's the fact that it's there is really interesting, because I think that's the best part, that we get all this information that's around there and we can just like hang out and talk, you know, about that.
No, yeah, I feel that way because I had to DM a Spelljammer campaign, and I remember getting the Spelljammer stuff, like the 5e stuff, and was just like, this doesn't give me anything. And you know what? I ended up having to buy 4 of these Spelljammer AD&D 2e books. And there's so much information in there. Yeah, so I had to like take all of the table, like all the stat blocks and stuff, and convert them sort of into 5e. So I still had to do the work, but there's so much cool settings and rules for Spelljammer battles and stuff in those books that I feel like the 5e book just didn't have. So now I have this really pretty 5e Spelljammer book that's like, I pretty much, the page that I ended up using the most from that one was just the fishing page.
I mean, look, I think that's the best thing, because a lot of like older D&D, like old D&D books are a lot more modular in that sense, where you can take little things like that, and it's like the fact that, you know, you still look at that fishing section, you know, that counts. I mean, I think that's a good thing. And a good example is like, so a friend of mine ran a pirate campaign, and a lot of the basis for that campaign was written in an older D&D book called Stormrack. And that's a book that involves a campaign setting around like a lot of ship maneuvers, pirates, battles at sea. And it's really funny because us as players, this was the first time we had ever done a campaign like that to an extent. I think, well, at least for me, I think my other players have done other campaigns before with a similar thing, but the level of detail with it was really good. But, you know, it does lead to an interesting dilemma of how much realism do you put in? And that's like always like the big crutch on that. And it's like, look, I'm gonna be real with you. When it comes to things like carry weight, I will tell my players, be reasonable, okay? Like, you're not going to carry, like, you can carry a tent, you can carry a certain amount of objects on you, but if we're getting to, like, ludicrous levels of weight that you're having on your back, I mean, look, unless you've got, like, you know, a magic backpack or, like, you know, infinite bag of holding or whatever, something ridiculous, okay? Ain't no way I'm letting that fly, okay? I'm not letting you carry a cottage on your back, okay? Unless you're a giant or something ridiculous, we're not doing that.
So I love the way Fabula Ultima handles inventory, because you don't have to worry about weight, you don't have to worry about keeping a list of all the stuff you have. For the most part, it's just kind of like, if it's reasonable for your character to have this, then you can just use it, no questions asked. But then if there's something that is a little bit less reasonable, you have this. So just like with HP and MP, you have IP, which is inventory points. And so for you to use this thing or have this thing, then you may have to spend inventory points instead. And so, for example, in the group campaign that we're doing, my character is like an artist, and part of her magic is she basically draws art and slaps it on people and things to apply these different effects and stuff. And every time I use those skills, it takes IP. And at first I was like, what? Why am I spending IP to cast these? And then I forget who it was in our group, but they were like, no, it's because you have to buy the paints and stuff. you have to buy the paints and the papers and all the supplies. I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Because you have to spend money. You have to spend money to restore IP, because it's like, oh, this is me buying stuff at the store, quote unquote.
It's funny you bringing that up. It does remind me of oh my goodness, what is the name of it? I think it's like Incarnate, I think, or not Incarnate. There is a class in older D&D that does do that, where you're basically ascribing like arcane tattoos or painting it onto people. I think even it's funny, in a previous campaign that one of my friends ran, I had a character that did a similar thing like that, where what I did was for my character, it was a mix of, I think, Mesmer, and I think I used like Fighter as another base just so I can get a couple of feats. But what I ended up doing was, so Mesmer in Pathfinder 1 has abilities called tricks, and you can basically pick a trick and implant it on someone or something. And essentially, it's an occult class, so you're basically using like a lot of like mental powers, and it basically runs off your emotions. But we kind of hand wave some of those rules because it can be kind of tricky if you're reading rules as written, because what is emotional, like what is going on to affect your character's emotion, can be kind of tricky. And it's like, it's all a big role play thing, and it can be kind of tricky. So we just say, okay, we'll treat it as if it's casting a normal spell. So one of the things they get are tricks, and these tricks you can sort of put on other people or onto yourself. So there was like an old school trick with it where it's like you can put tricks onto yourself. So if you get hit reactively, you'll just either spike in health, you'll dodge, or other things will happen. But you can also put these on other players. So since in that story we were doing, my character was an artist, I treated as if his tricks were him painting things, as that was his sort of ability. And he was painting these tricks onto the other players and was telling them, it's a magic ward, it'll help them. And I basically turned it into, I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, and I've set my trap cards. So I wait till it's their turn, and I see what happens, and I trigger different effects on everyone. And I'm like, this is so cool. And it's like, that's technically the wrong way to play it, because you should also be running out into the fray too. But the way I was playing it, I was treating it as if like they were someone who was a backliner and helping out in that way. And I think it's very interesting, because that's just another way you can play the same thing. And I think that's the best part, when you get to do a lot of the things like that. And I'm like, I think that's really interesting, though. It's a nice trade-off, though. Like, you're spending your inventory points to do that. That makes sense. And it's like, I do like it when things like that, come to some sort of logical conclusion,
Yeah, so you can spend money to recover IP, and then there's some skills where while we're camping in the woods, you can like forage and recover IP, because you're like, oh, you're finding stuff in the woods.
Okay.
Makes a lot of sense.
No, that makes perfect sense.
But then that way you can plan and do, or as Mary just said, you can do cool things that make sense for your character without being like, ah, this would have been really cool if only I had this thing. So it's like, no, you spend the IP, then let's say that you did have that thing. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, actually. I guess,
I
guess if anything, I do have a question for you. What, if I were to try one of these types of RPGs, is there one in particular that you would recommend that I give a shot?
Man, Fabula Ultima is so fun. We've been really enjoying that. Well, we're going to be starting Break pretty soon. I think Goblin is going to be running that for us. So if you want to join, we haven't started yet.
Maybe.
It's also kind of JRPG, but yeah, I am. Because I'm trying to think of what other group systems I've played aside from those. Astro Prisma is a solo game, but you technically can also play it as a group, and I've done that. And that's more of like a sci-fi game. It has some really cool ideas in it. So there's there's like the space exploration aspect, but then you can also sort of like in the Matrix go inside the computer, and there's like a whole special map and things that you can get in there too. It's really cool. But Fabula Ultima is definitely one I would recommend, especially since you like JRPGs. You can really feel that influence, but it's just super fun to play. They do a lot of really unique things, I think, for a TTRPG that just makes sense. It's just fun, out of the box.
Okay. The Annie Award-winning TTRPG Break.
Yeah. It's That's our joke, because it is. But it's just like, oh, because Goblin's always shilling break, and then we're like, oh, have you heard of any award-winning TTRPG break?
Oh my god. Yeah, then if anything, I'll probably take a look. I wouldn't mind. I think that could be something cool. Oh man. Sometimes. It's like, you know, it's funny because I think you may have heard this story from like before, but yeah, no, what got me into TTRPGs was an absolute fluke and a disaster, and I have no idea how I stuck with this hobby. Mm-hmm. It was essentially when some friends got me into a Warhammer campaign, and of course, you know, the guy who plays fantasy games, you guys got me into a Warhammer 40k campaign, and I just, for some reason, agreed. I don't know why. I was like, you know what, it could be fun. The guys say they wanted me to try doing a TTRPG with them. Sure, it can't be that bad. Slams down the book. Okay, so we're playing Dark Heresy, and I'm like, huh? The fuck is a Dark Heresy? And I ended up like sitting through reading the book, and I'm like, it's actually really interesting how the Warhammer TTRPG system works, because they're all very modular. So they have like their different things like Dark Heresy, Rogue Trader. I think there's another one that they have which is more focused on like, I don't think it's specifically, I think it's like the Guardsman or something, or something else. I can't remember, but it's really funny because a lot of that is very modular, so it plugs into each other, and their systems are very compatible, which is kind of impressive, because a lot of TTRPG systems are just like, buy my book, that's it, only my book, though. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, definitely. The funny thing about it was, yeah, so they got me in on this campaign, and, oh no, it was like, how do I describe it? First off, I never knew anything about 40k. I didn't know how I should roleplay in this setting. I have no idea.
Right.
And especially when you have me playing as an Inquisitor to come and deal with heretics and chaos, and I'm like, I don't know, what did I roleplay as? And bro, I was Doom Guy.
Yeah.
I was Doom Guy. I'm like, I don't know what the hell to do in this situation. So it turned into a funny disaster where our group of Inquisitors were going through like back streets of an area to try and like find more information about a group of possible like heretics who were hiding out. Mm-hmm. I mean, it does work in the setting. True. So I was just kind of playing along. So we were going through the back streets of the setting, and what was really interesting was we ran into one, and it ended up into a street brawl. Well, okay, that's fine. The fights were pretty good. Everyone was pulling out their blasters or their bolters and firing away. Here's the problem, okay? Like, firing a shot... Okay, firing a shot in 40k, you may as well have just lit the street on fire, okay? So, someone fires once. Okay, hit confirm, check, they take damage. What does the DM say? Okay, well, he's taking damage. I need to roll an effect to see what happens. Your bullets ring through his arm shatters, the bones fly out, it hits someone, they scream very loudly, their scream is so loud, everyone starts to panic, everyone is inflicted with heresy, or like panic and all this crazy shit. Okay, then the guy who got shot drops a grenade, it ignites and explodes, everyone within this radius, that means you, is now caught in the blast. What do you do? And I'm like, I don't know, I guess I roll to try and see if I'm alive. Okay, bone shards are now in you, and then the street explodes, and now the ammo on your waist explodes. Oh, come on. All right, now I have to roll 3 more tables.
And then, what do you do? Like, what do you mean, what do I do?
Yeah, it's like, what do I do? I'm dead. That's what...
Oh my god.
So, it's like, the whole street erupts into a ball of fire, and I'm like, wow. Dude, is this 40k or Final Destination? That's crazy. Dude, it may as well have been Final Destination, because I'm like, dude, how many tables are we rolling? What's going on? Roll to cry! Dude, basically what was going on. And I'm like, wow, so am I dead? Yeah, and my DM's like, you're not dead, you're unconscious, you may have lost an arm and a leg, and your ammo exploded again, by the way. Fuck! So
you're not dead, but you sure wish you were.
Pretty much. And, you know, when I heard what happened to the other group, because for some reason, I don't know why, this group ended up being like 12 players somehow. And when I heard what happened to the other team, you know what? Maybe my ammo exploding was the nicest thing that could have happened to me.
The least of your worries.
Because, like, what happened on the other team of players was one of the players played a psyker, and they have the ability to use psychic powers, but it can trigger perils of the warp. The problem with that is it summons demons, like actual big demons, and they will rip you to pieces. And guess what happened? It triggered. My dude summoned the demon in the middle of like the ship and just ripped away at the whole party. They could not do anything, and they all died. I'm like, you know what? Maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe I survived in my own way. Oh yeah, you knew exactly where this was going. yeah, it really did be that way. But you know, I was thoroughly surprised. It was funny at least. You know, not quite the most grim dark situation as I could have expected, but well, it was grim dark enough that it's like, well, I wish my character was dead. I'm like, can I start over? He's like, no. But what about the other guys?
Reload, save. Let's go again.
It's like the other guys. Oh, they're dead. Oh. So what do we do now? I guess they make new characters. Wow, this sucks. But, you know, could be better, could be worse. And then after that, it's like, they're like, hey, do you want to join our D&D campaign instead? It's a lot nicer than...
yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, sure. I'll be down. I'll join some D&D.
See, that's the foot in the door technique. They give you this like impossible game first, and then now no matter what, you're gonna love D&D.
Oh, of course, right? No, and it's like, it's funny because like they didn't tell me what version of D&D we were playing. I'm like, sure, I'll play D&D, because I'm like, I didn't know there were multiple versions, you know, because I was dumb. I'm like, I don't know. So I'm like, sure, I'll play D&D. And it's like, oh, we're playing 3.5. Are you okay with that? I'm like, sure, I guess. I don't know what the difference is, but all right, I'll play that. And now it's like I'm cursed forever having to say that every time someone asks me. It's like, hey, so why are you talking about 3.5 or talking about Pathfinder 1? And I'm like, because I like it. So they're like, are you like 45 or something? Like, no, I'm not 40 years old. I swear I'm not 40. And I'm like, every time it's like, that's the curse that happens. And the funniest thing is, it's like my friends that got me into are like a year or two or something like younger than me. And I'm like, they got me to play this. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. And it's like, I asked them one time, I'm like, wait, so how did you guys even get into this? They're like, oh yeah, our other friend got us into it. And then how did he get into it? He goes, I think his dad showed him and his brother how to play it. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Like, I'm not 40, but there was a 40-year-old somebody.
Someone taught these guys how to play this.
Like, it wasn't me.
Your first game ever, you had to audition, and it's what got you into playing a wrestling dwarf. Dude, that sounds awesome. No way. Okay, you know what? You get bonus points. Actually, hold on. I know something funny I could pull up so we could talk about, because it's like, you know, I talked about how some people will see older systems and they're like, they're complicated. This is annoying. And it's like, yeah, like, I think my biggest gripe, and this is, while I do agree that there's a lot of customizing and a lot of like things you can do when it comes to like 3.5. You can make a really interesting character with like a whole bunch of nuance and like a whole bunch of things. The one thing that will always suck is trying to set up your skills, because it just seems complicated, but it's not as bad. I think Pathfinder does a better job of showing how to set up your skills and it be like not as monotonous, because oh man, it can be so ridiculous, because you're like, you'll have all of these skills that are sometimes redundant, like you have listen, spot, and I think investigate or search or something like that, and it's like all of these skills could just be rolled into one. And that's what ended up happening in later editions. You have things like perception, and perception, while it sounds a bit broad or vague, that's the point. It's used to be like that, or it's supposed to be that way, so you can use it as a kind of a universal tool to say, okay, the party's walking in and they're going to check something. Now, me as the DM, I can roll behind the table and say, okay, anything in particular that they spot ahead of time, or let's hold out and see what the players notice first, and then we can go into more specifics that way. I think Pathfinder did a good job of like condensing down the amount of skills, because there's so many skills in 3.5, and I'm gonna be real, like there's maybe a handful of them that are always guaranteed. Like things like tumble, because in case you get knocked down and for some reason you would need to do a tumble check, you'll want that. Concentration if you're a spellcaster, because trying to cast spells while dudes are trying to stab you is kind of difficult, you can imagine.
Yeah, makes sense.
So you would want things like that. But, you know, granted, there's a reason why a lot of these things ended up getting smoothed over in like later editions. So yeah. Always kind of tricky, because it's always a give and take when you think about it that way. It's like, how much are you willing to sort of take, and what's okay to leave in because it's just flavor, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Which I've always been really curious about Pathfinder. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I don't know. Every time I go to like my local game shop, they have, I guess whoever owns that shop particularly likes Pathfinder, because they have this whole shelf aisle that's just Pathfinder stuff. And I'm always like, ooh, I want to look at it.
I mean, look, it's always something that is really cool and always kind of fun to check out. If anything, I'm kind of curious. I feel like it's probably Pathfinder 2 stuff, but if it's Pathfinder 1 stuff, damn, that's kind of impressive.
No, it's 2. Yeah.
And that's fine, because I'm kind of interested, because that's another system that I would be down to like sit down and like take a read through, because I'm very familiar with like Pathfinder 1, and I'm kind of curious to sort of see how they did it with 2, because the main difference I guess people sort of point at is people view Pathfinder 1 as like, we have 3.5. People would say you could call it like 3.8, because it takes a lot of the lessons from Pathfinder and goes, or it takes a lot of the lessons from 3.5 and goes, well, how can we make this better, or what other things can we smooth over? Like a good example was from last night's stream, where one of the characters that joins our party, he's a ranger. Now, rangers are typically just okay, and it's mainly because in 3.5, you can do damage with a bow, but the problem is there's not a lot of good feats to support it, and the way you just deal damage just doesn't scale quite right, because to use a bow, it's like, oh, it requires strength, it requires dexterity, it requires a whole other cavalcade of things.
Gotcha.
But in Pathfinder, they're like, okay, well, we can just create feats that support it, where why does melee attacking work way better is you have things like power attack. So like when you roll your power attack, you typically would say, if I'm let's say I'm level 4 and I have a 4 BAB, so that's my bonus to hit and bonus to damage. Okay. How power attack works is I take that 4, I'm going to roll 1d20, I'm going to minus 4, and then I'm going to add that to the damage. So they decided, okay, well, what if we did that for ranged attacks as well? So now you'll have extra feats like that to like make it so when you're shooting into a crowd, you're not going to take any penalties. When you're going to try and aim down to use deadly aim, you'll deal more damage at the cost of being a little bit less accurate. And then they added things like multi-shots. So say you're using a bow, you could fire 2 arrows at once, or, you know, do a follow-up hit. So it ends up being that they went from being just okay to being really good, because now they have a lot more support. There's a bunch more extra things and a lot more that you can kind of get going through. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, hey, look, sometimes we call it the everything needs a good old patch every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be honest, like, there are things even within those old setups that I'm not too big a fan of either, where like, one of the issues, I guess you could say, that kind of was a thing was, so Paladin is a very like kind of controversial, and I say that in the loosest way, because you would look at Paladin in like 3.5 and you could go, this sucks. Because while it's got really good attack scaling, that's fine. The problem is it has the same spell list as a cleric. Well, that's not bad. They get some really good spells. Problem, it uses wisdom, and it's like, oh, okay.
Oh no.
But what about paladins? They have their ability, you know, lay on hands to heal and stuff. Right. Yeah, that uses charisma. I see. But what about how am I going to attack? Like, what do I do to deal damage? Use strength. Then how do I increase my HP? Well, with Constitution, and you sort of see where the dilemma starts. You have you become.
What are you supposed to do there?
Yeah, and I think the term for that is mad, where you're multi-attribute dependent, and that's sort of an issue with like balance back then. So like at least they made it so okay, if you're gonna play a paladin, it's just all going to be, your scaling stats going to be charisma, which I think is how they do it nowadays, and like I think in 5e as well. But the other sort of thing, I guess, and this is more old tabletop stuff, where you'll have things like Smite. Now, Smite in 5e is very good because it doesn't have an alignment requirement. Now, the issue with Smite in older editions is Smite requires you to be hitting an evil target. Granted, let's say you're in the middle of the woods, okay? All right, you're in the middle of the woods. A bear rolls up on you. Is that bear evil? Are you the evil one for attacking the bear in his home?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so now you see where the issue comes, because when you think about it, depending on like situations, like what type of campaign you're in, if you're wandering the woods with your party, you can't use Smite, because there's no guarantee that that is evil. Because most like woodland creatures are neutral, chaotic, but they're not evil. Right. So...
Yeah, I played one time in a campaign a paladin that took whatever oath it was, where you can't you can't kill anybody unless they are. Actually, I think I wasn't allowed to kill anyone. Period. I had made some oath that I would try to like convert everybody to the light or whatever, so I wasn't supposed to kill anyone. And it got really frustrating, and so my character sort of corrupted over time, and it's like, well, if I don't make the final blow, then I did not kill them. So I would just beat them.
You hit the technicality?
Like, yeah. So I would beat them to 1 HP or whatever, and then my party member would, would kill them. Like, technically, I am fulfilling my oath. Like, you can't.
You know what?
You can't get me on anything.
Wow, I can't believe we have a rules lawyer here. I'd have hit you with that. She hit the and if technically.
Yeah. Like, I did not kill them, so.
Let's see. Also, Mary, I would give you a gold star if I had any, because oh my god, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, is it evil? Good question. All trees are evil. I hear their secrets.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Yeah, not for real. But like, yeah, you see what I mean, where it's like, then you'll have other cases like there are other classes that Pathfinder adds in, which I do think this is very cool. I like that they mix and match some classes and things. So like a good example would be like what's it called? Inquisitor, where I think Inquisitor is a very cool class because it's supposed to be like a mix of a cleric and some variant of fighter, I think. And my only problem with it is its unique ability, which is its blessings that it can use on itself. They sound cool. Problem, you only have so many uses per day, and it's like, okay, well, usually that's not a problem. Here's the issue, okay? In a tabletop setting, it can vary, because think about it this way. In a session, we're role-playing it out, if you're going through the woods, you may have a couple of fights per day. Usually not really, maybe. If I'm a DM, we'll do like maybe 1 fight per day or something. There are some cases where, it'll just be a little bit, different slightly. Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
And the issue you'll have is their judgments can only be used maybe once per day per level or something like that. And you realize now, it's like, wow, if I'm in multiple fights per day, I'm fucked because I can only use this once. And then I'm like, well, so much for that ability. Yeah. So it's like, you'll have situations like that where you'll be looking at it going, well, it could use a little bit more charges. Like, that's kind of lame. And it's like, I'm sure there's ways around it. And then we also have things like, again, thinking back to like, I think you and I talked about min-max at one point, but it can lead to some cases of degenerate gameplay. Now, I'm kind of curious in your perspective on this, because I know you've played different types of TTRPGs, and especially, I don't know if you've played anything where it gets sort of min-maxy at times, but I am kind of curious to know, like, what's your take on that? Like, how do you feel about that?
About like min-maxing in general?
Yeah, whatever on it, really.
I don't do it just because I enjoy TTRPG for like the role play aspect, and so when you min-max, I feel like that's kind of ruining the immersion of it, because it's like your character did not generally min-max, because we're just they're just making decisions about their life, right? And so I create the character first, and then I pick the stats or whatever that I think makes sense for that character. But then there's some games I've played where it's really hard if you don't min-max. Like I was playing this solo RPG called Rune, which, I mean, you can't fully min-max, but it's like the game, it's a Souls-like kind of game, and if you don't have the exact, like a certain configuration of skills and stuff, it's just really difficult to progress. And so then it's like, well, at this point, then it's sort of the illusion of choice, right? And I think that's part of min-maxing too, is like if you get so sucked into the min-max, okay, then there's only one best way to play a ranger or whatever, then what's even the point of having all these choices if, oh, well, you have to be, what is the rogue that, hang on, there's like a specific type of rogue in 5e that's like everyone always plays, I need to Googling it, but it's just like, okay, oh, I think it's like a Darkstalker, something like that.
Gloomstalker, I think, or something like that.
And it's like, okay, but if you don't play that, then, you know, then it's a waste. Or if you don't have this much of this, that, then it's a waste. I'm like, okay, but then you can only play one type of character.
Exactly.
Isn't that a waste?
Now, it's funny. It's very good that you bring that up, because that is something that, like, I think me and a couple of friends have sat down and talked about at times where we've considered doing, like, house rule adjustments. So a good example of that would be in, like, older editions, 3.5, Pathfinder. The biggest issue is you'll find that humans are overpowered. And it's really funny to say that, because you're like, humans overpowered? Why? It's because, so in those systems, like, I think it's every other level after level 4 or something, or it's like every other level after level 3 or 4 or something, you're able to get a feat, which is great. The problem is, why are humans OP? You start at level 1 with an additional feat and some extra skill points, and it's like, wow, that just jumps you ahead and increases your total amount of feats, because not every class gets the same amount of feats. Some classes just have dead levels, like Paladin, which is why people always joke and say Paladin's bad. And if you're going to be one, just play a cleric and roleplay that you're a Paladin. But it's interesting, though, that you bring that up, because a lot of the issue that you'll see is now, from when me and my friends would play at our table, is sometimes people are a little afraid to try and play a character that is maybe not human, mostly because they feel like combat-wise they'll fall behind. So we've talked about, like, house ruling, where it's like, look, if that's your worry, we'll just give you the feat, you know? Because I want you to focus on making your character more interesting for the roleplay. And I do appreciate that, my friends. We've gotten so much better with that, where it's like, sure, well, like, there are times where we'll play human because maybe that's the type of character we want to play, but I appreciate that, you know, people are more willing to branch out and explore and make more interesting characters, because I think that makes for a better story, because at the end of the day, I mean, that's what we're here for. Let's be honest, we're here to make some really cool stories.
Yeah, and my friend that normally DMs when we play D&D, I think pretty much we always everybody gets one feat. And that's just, it just makes it a little bit more balanced. I think the perspective is like, oh, well, humans get all this extra stuff because, you know, oh, humans, such great potential. They could be anything they want. But I think sometimes whoever it is that's making the actual stat blocks and skills and things, it takes it a little bit too far. To where it's like, okay, am I choosing this ancestry for my character because that's interesting narratively, or am I choosing it because this gives me the best stats? And I remember when I first started playing D&D, I did care somewhat, because it's like, oh, what if it breaks the game? So it's like, okay, if I'm an elf, what job class should I be? But now I just don't care about that stuff anymore.
Oh yeah, no, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, it's like, just straight vibes. It's like, I'd say pick what you feel is more comfortable for you and what you want to have fun with, because it's like, look, we've kind of gotten to a discussion before about that, where we've talked about, hey, if you want to play a bad class, play it, because there's still ways to make a bad class good. It doesn't have to be, you know, top tier. Like, for an example, let's see, character concept over min-maxing, but you try to balance your choices. So yeah, exactly. That's exactly where we're going. And you don't usually min-max, but characters tend up busted because you risk your character. All right, okay. But yeah, no, it's like, you see what I mean? That's a good case. Like, you're wanting to still, you don't have to play optimal. Like, I'm going to tell you this. You don't want to play min-maxed, and you don't want to play, like, super high-end stuff, because especially, like, when it comes to how my friends and I play the game, essentially what you end up as, and now this is me speaking, putting on my DM hat here for a second here. This is what we call the arms race, and you don't want to start an arms race, okay? Because you end up in a situation where your players are going to say, wow, the content's hard. I better make sure my character's really min-maxed so I can deal as much damage as I can and take no damage. But what's that going to do in turn? Well, as the DM, well, I guess I got to crank up the dial and make this guy hit it's like, how much to hit should I give him? 20. Like, a good example is like, when I was streaming Pathfinder yesterday, for example, some people who were popping in were taking a look to see, you know, how does the Pathfinder game play? And some of the funniest things I saw in chat where someone goes, does he really have a plus 30 to hit? And I'm like, yes, he does. And it's like, why is that? I'm like, there's like a laundry list of buffs that you could have given this guy. But you see what I mean? It's like, that's sort of a case of like, as a DM, it's like, have I had to do something like that? And the answer is absolutely. I think the funniest example was I ran a Final Fantasy D20 campaign. Also, thank you, by the way. Let me redeem that. Cheers, mate. Hydrate. And also check your posture. Cheers. Gotta make sure you're still hydrated. Drink some water. Anyways, as I was saying, yeah, like, we saw those types of things. And as a DM, it's like, I ran a Final Fantasy D20 campaign. And that's basically sort of a homebrewed version on top of, like, regular Pathfinder. And it gets really funny because the numbers in that are super inflated. Like, you could tell they looked at that and they're like, but Final Fantasy needs to do a lot of damage, okay? And there needs to be like 20 more debuffs. And I'm like, oh my god, it kills me because you'll look at a monster entry and you're like, how the hell is a normal player gonna fight this? And then you realize, oh, it's because it's really broken in the system. So like, some characters will end up dealing like 80 damage a turn or more, and then you're like, holy shit, dude. You look at their attack rolls and you're gonna just see an essay of like to bonuses and all this stuff. I'm like, dude, who is this game made for? Because it's like, min-maxing with homebrew is always bad, but it's also a case of like taking a system that already kind of can get a little bloated number-wise towards the end game, and then just saying, nah, but what if we put that at the front? Yeah, just let this thing have like a plus 30 to hit. Oh, what's the DC that you have to pass on a reflex? Oh, it's 25. Bro, ain't no way no normal players reaching a 25 on that. So you see what I mean? And it's like, that's when me as the DM, I have to step in and I'll either have to say, okay, guys, we need to break this up. Because you're right. Yeah, the arms race is exactly, yeah, there you go. A 5k HP wizard at level 10 in 5e. You know, it's funny you say that, Goblin, because that was exactly what I did. In my campaign, it's a group of like, I think, 6 players. They were fighting against a boss where on paper from like that system, I looked through their bestiary and they're like, okay, he should have about 800 HP. My dude would have died on turn 1. I was like, wow, that's bad. That's a lot of damage. So what did I do? I cranked his HP up to 5k and I kept lying. Because remember, as the DM, you can just lie. It's like, what are they going to tell you? You're wrong. I'm like, it's like, what are they going to say?
Although,
you're wrong.
You know what? I have had students do that before because they made these super, like, because they did min-max their characters. And so they're they hit this enemy. And then the kid's like, oh, it should be dead. I was like, no, it's not dead. And he's like, I know it should be dead because such and such monster only has so much HP in the stat block. I was like, well, this one is special.
Metagamer caught red-handed.
Like, no.
No, and it's funny that you say that because that is another thing that, like, I guess we could sort of say there's things over the table that we call gentlemen's agreements on that. Yeah, meta detecting. Yo, what's up, Kombucha? We're talking some tabletop stuff, and yeah, that's definitely like one of the things. So like, for example, we've had situations like that where I guess one of our friends, he okay, how do I say this in the nicest way? He's the type of guy that will make his character go invisible just so he doesn't have to roleplay. And I'm like, really, dude? And he'll just like sneak around the map and try to like rob people or check their pockets. And I'm like, dude, are you even playing the game? And it's like, you know, we'll try to involve him and stuff, but for him, he told me, he's like, you know, he goes, I'll be honest, he goes, I just have a lot of fun with the combat sections of campaigns. He goes, I'll be honest, I'm not really too into role-playing. I just like playing the game to play combat encounters with friends, but when it comes to like sitting down to roleplay,
video game.
Exactly, I know, and that's kind of the problem we've had, because then when it comes to min-max, this guy is the guy who's min-maxing. I love the guy, but oh brother, man, my first campaign, he tried to pull a fast one on me because I didn't know it was going to be overpowered. What's he end up doing? He rolls up to the table, I want to play this. And then my other players had to take a look at it for me because I didn't know. And I'm like, so is it strong or what? He goes, my dude wants to play Green Druid, bro, in 3.5. Oh. This is like top tier meta build, bro. Don't let this shit fly. Tell him no. And of course I let it go because I didn't know what I was doing. It was my first time. So it's like, you know, you end up in situations like that where it's like, you know, when it comes to encounters like that, and I think a best example I've given on this would be even within that same like final, oh no way, hold on, I gotta read this one. You crashed out hard on a player. It was not a good look on your end. You crashed out hard on a player who correctly identified you were using an ochre jelly for an encounter using out-of-character knowledge for strats. Now, that is another thing, and you mentioned it with kids, and I can understand kids doing that. That's fine. You can always... this is a learning lesson for them where you can tell them, okay, you may have identified it as that, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the same creature. Not every single one is built the same. There you go. You know, you can think of an out like that.
Which is what I did, and it was fine. It was just a moment of like, so you've been trying to study, which is okay. I see what you're doing. Like, you do that for my class, not for the club, please.
Oh my god, that's great. So trust me, totally been there. Like I think unironically, like there are some cases where I've taken a higher level creature and then sort of downscaled it, where I think one of my favorite campaigns that I ran was a small mini campaign where you know, I've tried to experiment a bit with it. I know we talked a little bit about I know sort of the DM curse, you could say, is a DM PC, and I try to avoid those things. So what I did in that campaign was I did a little bit of testing the waters with, well, what if I gave the power or the party a traveling companion on this who was going to guide them to where they needed to go, but they wouldn't participate in combat, and instead what they would have gotten was maybe some passives. So like we'll have out of combat benefits where because they know the way around, whenever they're rolling to like try and find the next way to go, they get some benefits while rolling. Or maybe if they need help identifying something, they can tell them. Or other cases of like, well, maybe there's what's it called? There is an ability or a special attack that they could do maybe once, and you could consider that like a once per day spell you'll get from, bro, what the hell? Who's this guy? Oh, hello. I need your help. I've got a problem with some graves. Oh, no, I don't know if I want to help you, though. Sure, I'll help you. What do you got? Oh, okay. I put the coffins into the wait, what? How do you put the wrong coffins into the graves? I need you to pick it up and see who's inside. No! And then bury it in the crane.
He mixed up Jimothy and Timothy.
Oh my god.
Honest mistake.
Of course. Pick up the coffin, check the body on the inside, see where they need to be buried.
Oh my god.
Right, okay. Okay, who's in this one?
Honest mistake.
What?
Happens to the best of us.
Who's in this one? Water can. Okay, what are you? Are you a farmer? What the hell does this mean? Sure. Okay. All right. What about here? Hold on. Oh. Kebab, chef hat, cake, skull. Okay, you're a baker. Okay. Can you tell this game's British? Okay, sure. Yeah, you go there. That looks like a baker. Okay, what about you? Lumberjack. Are you in the lumberjack grave? Yep. Okay. Yep. You're where you should be.
Did he like shake the coffins?
I'm very curious. Yeah, I'm like what is going on in here?
Like,
okay, apron, spooky skull, pickaxe, rocks. Okay. What do you do? Are you a crafter or artisan? What the hell is that? Huh. Okay, you know what? Let's see. What about this one? Okay, so you're someone who works in the mines? Okay, yep, we'll put that one there. Okay, so what about you? What do you do? Okay, you're a gardener, because that's a seed, a trowel, a secateurs? I think? They look like pliers. Now I'm thinking of, oh my god, I'm thinking of like wire cutters. Why would you use a wire cutter?
Or like a it kind of looks like when you're rock climbing, what you put into the, you know, for the ropes, maybe? I don't know.
What is this? Oh, it's a pot. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Gardener, chef, potter?
Pottery? Yeah, it's probably that sounds about right. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think that's fine. All right, Leo, did I get it right? I think I finished.
But how does he even know
I'll take care of the rest of them and get you back with your reward. Cool, thanks. Oh, I can learn the zombie walk emote. Oh, hell yeah, dude. Thanks, RuneScape.
It's very, very thematic.
Very fitting. I teleport back onto someone's roof. Oh, man. Look, sometimes I remember how old RuneScape is. Like, it's funny. I was doing some agility training in this, well, earlier. Well, we're doing that now, but I was doing it in like an arena, and there's a dart trap that hits you, and I'm suddenly reminded how old RuneScape is when my character does like the whole Matrix lean back and dodge, and it goes into slow-mo, and I'm like, oh no, dude. I'm like, I go, wow, yeah, way to hit me with that one. I'm like, I haven't watched The Matrix in like forever. Oh my god. Oh man. But before that wonderful interruption, yeah, like when it comes to min-maxing, or not even just min-maxing, I guess, like I was saying, gentleman agreement over the board on this, we typically do like a couple of things at my table where it's like, one, you can play underpowered builds, and if we want to, you know, make slight adjustments to make them more playable, I'm cool with making those things. Because at the end of the day, we want you to make a character that's going to be more interesting, and someone that's, you know, more fun. Other agreements that we would do would be like, if you're going to play at the table, sometimes we would ban certain classes, and this is more of an older D&D thing because unless I trust you enough to not completely break the game, you're allowed to play certain classes. Like a house rule for us when it comes to like 3.5 or like older systems is druid and clerics are kind of banned because they're so overpowered. It's kind of crazy. You've never been a fan of banning classes. I'll be honest with you, in a lot more of our recent campaigns, Kombucha, I'm okay with it. I think I'd be more open to people playing some of the banned classes, just as long as above the board, you have to agree, please do not break the game in half. Like, yeah, just Druid, but you don't agree with it. I'm like, look, you can play it, just please keep in mind it's going to be ridiculously imbalanced. We only ban Druid. Yeah, true.
Or like my DM will be like, you can play such and such character. They are OP, so we'll put some limits on it instead. Like he really doesn't like us playing characters that can fly. But he's like, but I'll impose limits. So you could fly this much, or just know that if you're flying, they're going to be hitting you from above, etc., etc. So.
Yeah. So the main reason why, like as a DM, I could see putting restrictions on that is like, okay, the nicest way I could say it is to put in perspective, okay? Say you get into a fight with bandits, all right? You're Hime, you're out in the middle of the woods here. In the middle, you get surrounded by bandits. All right, I cast fly. All right, what's your next move? I'm going to fly 45 feet up into the air.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, combat encounter's over because they can't reach you unless one of them pulls a bow out. What are you going to do next?
Yeah.
I fly away because my fly speed is like... 45 or something ridiculous. They're like, wow, never mind. He's never going to catch you. Okay. Yeah. Encounter over. So, you know what I mean? There's some limitations that we would put where it's like, I'm okay with allowing flight, but again, we would need to sort of set a precedent of, remember, don't be completely obnoxious with the spell, or you'll have other cases of, like, what's another good example? Let's see. So you don't know if Scorp told you, but we had to shoot your anime dead SLA in the head during our current campaign. It was too strong. Really? I had no idea it was that strong. Also, yo, what up? Hey, it's Joe. He's just chilling out here with me. Wait. Yo, what's up, dude? My man's here with his cat and everything. We're just chilling. Damn. Sitting on the roof. I mean, that's true. Yeah, your spell-like ability was kind of crazy and completely understandable. The view's nice up here. What a mad lad. But, yeah, you know, it's some of those things like that.
Yeah, so when I played the character, so I did end up playing a character who could fly, and I think that you just had to be careful with it. So, for example, she was a magic user, and so my height was taken into account. So like, oh, well, if I'm this far in the air, that affects range, and so I can't hit that thing in that. Like, that's when they ask, when are you going to use the Pythagorean theorem in real life? In D&D, because if I'm this high up and this person is here on the ground, then that means they're actually this distance away.
Oh my
which
god! Which
means I have to, they, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's like, oh no, you can't hit them because the Pythagorean theorem says that they are actually 72 feet away.
I want you to know that you invoked something. I see Kabucha in chat, bro. Yeah, there you go. Look, there's a reason why we try to not add third levels into our 2D tabletop game, because holy shit, bro.
Oh, it was so fun because my character, I would just stack D6s for her mini to sit on top of to represent. So each D6 is like, you know, 10 feet in the air or whatever. So it was just like so silly. I loved it.
Oh my god. Look, now you say that, and I'm sitting here thinking to last night's Pathfinder stream, where how many times on stream did you see my character stay off screen, max distance, chuck fireballs like I'm free throwing from half court?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, let's not calculate that one. Just pretend I'm making it. We're gonna do that.
Pythagorean theorem is not physics, okay?
Look, it could be worse. We could start doing like what projectile calculation, and it's like, no, that's too far. Yeah, you're gonna ignore it for convenience. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
But then also, you know, there's no way I can ever play an OP character, even if she can fly and cast magic, because it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna be rolling 1s and 2s all night, so I have a real life debuff at all times.
Look, we have a saying, don't you know? Look, did you know that there's a 5% chance or a 1% chance? Don't worry, it's fine. We're gonna need to see your college conscripts together again. Oh my god, not the transcript, dude. No.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
That sounds brutal. There is Fatal. Oh god, no. Let's not talk about Fatal. Oh no. Look, dude, I don't need to know the circumference of... you know what? I'm not gonna go there. It's bad. That's all you need to know. Don't look it up. Oh man. Oh,
that's me as the math teacher being like, no, this spell has a conical range, and according to the formula for the volume of a cone, I should be...
Look, I want you to know, you say that, and it's like, I feel like we've had so many discussions in our table where it's like, yo, can you draw a cone, draw 90 degrees, and we're like, hold up, we need to have someone draw a line and then another person draw a line, and we're like, okay, that's the cone, or do you agree to the terms of service?
Oh my god.
Look, sometimes we just, gentleman's agreement, yep, sure, that works. Look, it can get kind of tricky sometimes when it's like, oh, what's this cone? Oh, it's a narrow cone. Oh, okay, cool. So how do we represent it in here? Because every square is supposed to be approximate like 5 feet. So how do we account for that? With our imagination.
We had to do transversals to solve a puzzle. Okay, I need, who is this? Because that's the kind of...
Bro, kombucha, if you want to pop in here and talk with us, you're more than welcome to. I can drag you in. Because, by the way, this is someone who is in my D&D group.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is even funnier. Because whenever I talk about how OP homebrew is, I always pull up that FFD20 campaign and I will screenshot that roll. Yeah, no problem, dude. Oh, man. Yeah, bet, no problem. But, oh my god, what is this track? It's like popping off in the background. Hold up. I just noticed, it's like we've been just shuffling through like playlist after playlist. It's kind of crazy.
I can't actually hear your music, so whatever it is, I'm sure it's good. I'm playing Welcome to Elderfield over here.
Oh, nice.
Because it's just something that I can play without having to concentrate too much, and I can talk and play at the same time.
Bro, I just fell off the roof. Ouch.
Oh.
I hope my legs are intact.
The roof isn't even that high.
True. Very true.
It's like barely taller than you.
Look, I think the funniest thing... Okay, so something that RuneScape is peak yapping it. Dude, it really is, dude. I think one of the funniest things that I think about in RuneScape nowadays, so growing up playing this game, it's like, you didn't really realize it, but now as an adult, I appreciate it more because I realize, yeah, this game's really written by the British. How do I know? I go to the store and immediately a mugger is just standing outside ready to box me for my 10 GP and I'm like, but I'm level 3, please leave me alone. Or it's like I'm walking down the road and then some highwaymen pull up on you and they're like, stand and deliver, give me your money.
Oh my god.
I'm like, man, does everyone just want to stab me? Oh yeah.
Is that a British thing?
They call a nice cup of tea.
Oh my goodness.
And it's like, man, you could tell when they wrote this, it's so silly because like with some of the ways they just like your character will react or say things and I'm like, man, my character's kind of a jerk. Because it'll be like, oh no, little Timmy fell down the well. And your character will go, damn, that sucks. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Is he rude or is he just British?
You know, sometimes that's the greatest mystery. Let's see. Oh my god, we got 54 agility? Alright, that's not bad. You know what? We could probably do a quest. We can do some ye old British questing. I've only done 2 quests, and that was like Rune Mystery and like Waterfall. So we could probably do, you know, we could do some fun one. We'll probably pull that up. And enjoy some old video game design. What course am I training on? I'm in the Faldor course. So like if you go to Falador, it's on the east side of the bank right next to the mining guild. You can do it once you have level 50 agility. If you want to just hang out here with me. We're just running laps here, just yapping. The things I do per EXP, we're just chilling. I mean, hey, look, we were going to try to do like a mirror dungeon in Limbus, but unfortunately it's down. So I was like, you know. Wait a minute. He can't even talk to him. He's stuck. Please help me. The beekeeper's stuck on the tightrope.
Oh no.
Dude. Oh, he teleported. Okay. All right.
It's a rough place to be stuck.
That's funny. I've never seen that happen. The dude teleported and got stuck on the tightrope. Oh my god. That's that old game design. I love that jank. Oh man. No, okay. You want to talk jank? Okay, so in like older editions of D&D, there's a thing called grappling, and it's more commonly if you wanted to be like someone who's like maybe a grappler, a wrestler, or something like that. You would do like grapple, and then basically your opponent needs to make checks to see if they can break free or try to fight you back. So typically, what would end up happening is you would have a situation where maybe how do I say this? So typically what happens is grappling is a thing mostly for like monsters or bigger creatures to like grab you, and now you're just crowd controlled and you need to find a way to like deal with it. Okay. So the way players would use it is like if you're going to do like some sort of grapple build. One of our players in our group, he likes to do grappling builds in older D&D because it's a cool idea. He likes the idea of different types of martial arts.
Okay, yeah.
Here's where it gets kind of silly, though, because the grappling flowchart is a thing because, well, how does it work? Well, if you're going to grapple someone, you two both need to make a check. One person does a grapple check, the other person will do like a stat check to see if they can overcome you trying to like hold them down. Here's the problem. If you grapple a wizard, basically you are going to trap them forever because they're not going to be strong enough to break free. But if you're grappling like a bigger creature or someone who's more of like a melee combatant, they have a higher chance because their stats aren't that bad. Now, I'm going to... Oh my god, you guys are ridiculous in chat. I see you. Oh my god. But, so one thing that I could show you, and I'm going to hold this up on the side. I'll take a snapshot of it if I can, and I will link it to you in the Discord. 1 second. Because this is going to blow your mind. Because this is like something funny that oh my god, oh no. That's a scary image. I don't know if I want to use this one. Okay, there we go. There we go. Wait, why? No. There we go. Okay. I'm going to link this to you because this is just kind of funny. And I'll see if I can pull this up here. I want you to look at that image and just be amazed.
Okay.
Now, oh my god.
Just for grappling.
This is just for grappling. And it's like, you can understand now why, like, some people would say, this is ridiculous. And there's a reason why. Look, we just try to not grapple, because does anyone really want to, like, do all this? And for everyone else, let me pull this up on screen here real quick for you. Be warned, everybody. This is gonna be bad. This will be bad. So you may want to shield your eyes. Let me just do this real quick. Because I have to do that, and we're going to slap this in here. Which, everyone, avert your eyes. You're about to see the grapple chart. Or the grapple chart. And it's not great, okay? Bear with me. Oh god, that's... I'm just gonna flash it on screen for a second. Alright, everyone get ready for a jump scare, okay? Boo, there it is. Yeah, I hope you're scared. Congratulations, don't do it.
Just for grappling.
Just for grappling. There you go. Look, there is a reason, okay? There is a reason why we try to, if you're gonna grapple, you know, build a character around it. Don't just grapple unless like you're doing it for like a roleplay moment or something like very interesting. Like, we have to hold him back. Everyone quick, dogpile on him. Stop him. You can't let him do that. You know, something like that, because you don't want to actually try to grapple. Because I'm going to be real here with you, okay? It's good if you're the DM when you have a monster try to grapple someone, okay? Because it's just easier, it just works. Think about it in the case of like, what if there's like a chimera, it lunges on top of someone, or they're pounced on and you can count that as a grapple or something like that. You know what I mean? Sure. You can create situations like that to, you know, come up with ways to make this situation work. Just, you know, be wary. And I think there's a reason why it's like, I don't think it exists in like 5th edition, which I'm going to be honest, understandable, because it's always difficult. But, you know, it's there for when people want to like try to make more martial characters, or like people use more different types of martial arts, you know?
Right.
So there you go. Hopefully I didn't jump scare everyone too bad with it, where it's like, oh no, there it is. Oh no, I'm sorry. Does 5e do grappling? I don't think it does. At least from when I read the player's handbook, I didn't see any.
It does have grappling.
It does?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, okay.
It's just not so restrictive. Like, I mean, there's stuff you can't do. You do have to do like a strength or an acrobatics check or whatever to break out of it. But it does have grappling, but it's definitely not that complicated.
Look, I will tell you, it should never be that way.
Right, but it's stuff, it makes sense. It's like, oh, well, somebody's holding on to you, so you can't, like, disengage unless you pass this check. You can't move away. You can't, you know, but it's logical stuff. Oh, yeah,
it's stuff like that. Yeah, that makes perfect sense then. No, it's really funny, though, because, like, now, I don't remember if I told you about this, but I've never I think I've only played one session of a 5th edition game, and unfortunately it's because that campaign died. Unfortunately, not every campaign, can jump off the ground and keep going, but it feels funny for me because it's like, I think at some point I would want to try, doing something in 5th edition. If anything, like, if not writing my own, like, mini campaign or something, I definitely would be interested in, like, maybe running, like, something like Death House or one of the simpler modules that they do like that. It'd be interesting.
Yeah. I really want to go back to, like, the Ravenloft, Curse of Strahd stuff, because we only did a mini campaign for it, but I really enjoyed it.
No, it's funny you bring that up, because that is something I would be down to, like, try to set up and run. Because for me, it's like, I think that would be something really cool. Yeah, Himeutsugi's a big fan of Ravenloft. It's a very cool setting, and it's interesting because it is an older setting, actually. It's one from a lot of older books, and the Curse of Strahd rendition that they did for 5th edition is really good. It's a very popular one.
Yeah, the mini campaign that we did, my friend, basically in the book, I think it's in the I want to say it's in the Ravenloft book. I can't remember. It's one of the two. There's like it's like a half pager about this phantom train. And he really latched onto that idea and just made a whole mini campaign just based on, actually, it wasn't even really mini. We played it for a couple of months. But of us on this phantom train, so it's like the world outside has ended and this phantom train just keeps going forever. If you've ever watched that movie Snowpiercer, it's like that kind of idea.
Yeah, I was like, that just sounds like that. That's cool. I like that.
But then, like, we kind of get forced onto this train. Nobody really knows what's happening. People disappear from it. And so we're trying to, like, make our way to the engine room, basically, and shenanigans happen. But it was really, really fun. So I would love to go back to that setting. Yeah. Well, not specifically the train, but, like, that kind of era.
Yeah, no, it's like, I would be interested in trying to run something like that. Hey, I'll hit you up.
Yeah, please keep me in mind.
Oh, also, yeah, definitely.
Me with the flowchart, I'm gonna give you the Caernathalis combat flowchart. It's not as bad because it's for all of combat, but look, it's color coded.
Look, that's the best part. Look, if that's one thing I've learned, when a graph has colors, it makes it a lot easier to understand what's going on. Oh my god! Look, I say that, and it's like, I remember specifically when I was looking through the Nocturne TTRPG, there is a flowchart for negotiations with demons in that game, and it makes me laugh because in hindsight, it is 100% authentic to the games. It works and it makes sense when you think about it, when you look at how it plays out in the game and then how it's written out in the paper, and you're like, wait, no, this just actually works. This is literally one-to-one how it goes. It does the checks behind the scenes, so you as the player don't realize it, but me who has read this, I go, wait, no, it's literally following the exact same flow, and I'm like, damn, they really did nail it.
Yeah.
And it's, oh my god, it looks like I'm looking at a multiplication table, and I'm like, bro, where do I even start here?
Yeah.
It's like, thanks. Let me take a look at what you sent me here. Ooh, alright, hold up, I'm pulling this up.
It's so pretty.
Oh, it does look really nice. Hold on.
The thing is, it looks scary, but you get used to it. Like, this is the game that I played for my charity streams, and you just get used to it.
Oh yeah. One second, let me just throw this up here. Hold on. Be warned. Hold on, be warned, everybody. The new table has hit the stream. Oh my god. Here, I will hide myself with the table. Bam, there it is. I am now here.
Look at it.
This is cool. No, I actually like this.
It's fun.
Look, I will say, it looks a little bit, I guess you could say, a little bit overwhelming at first, but... You get
used to it, but it's because it's solo, so the roles have to be player-facing, and so, when you're rolling against the enemy, they have, like, a combat... Okay, yeah, they have a combat skill. I see. So you don't just roll to hit, they also roll to defend, and vice versa. Okay.
No, this makes a lot more sense now that you explain it that way, because...
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, all right.
This is a roll, so it's a roll under system, right? So, like, let's say if my skill in bladed weapons is 60, but when you're attacking, you get an extra plus 10 because you have the initiative, because you're the one attacking, so you have to roll under a 70. Well, then the opponent is rolling for their defense. They also have to roll under a number. And so the point is that it's almost like rock, paper, scissors. So, for example, if I roll under and they roll under, that's fine, but then it's whoever rolled the highest while also rolling under. So usually I have an advantage because if my combat skill that I'm trying to roll under is 70 and then their defense is only 30, then unless I roll really bad, which I usually do, it's usually fine. But then the cool thing is if you both fail, like so you both roll over, the attack can still succeed if your base stat is higher than their base stat.
So that's a fail-safe then.
Yeah, exactly. So we both fail, but I still land the attack because of my general ability, which kind of makes sense because if you are really skilled and they're really, really bad, then it shouldn't matter. I should still be able to land the hit. If we both fumbled at the same time.
Yeah, no, that makes sense then following that.
It keeps the battle from stalling when you just keep both failing over and over.
Yeah, no, that's good because, oh my god. Now I'm thinking back to earlier in the stream when we saw, I was playing Limbus and we were clashing like 7 times in a row and it's like, it's like, did you know that you can just keep clashing forever until someone wins? And it's like, yeah, we need a failsafe.
Yeah.
You know, so there's that. That makes perfect sense.
So it's not just about success versus success, it's like who had the better success. And then we go from there. Oh my god, I see you guys in the Iron Man chat. Am I really stealing from this man, or have I just become the stall owner? Look, man, now you can tell. See, this is it. You're becoming British. Now you're thinking the right way. Oh, man. Damn, we're doing sick laps here. Oh my god, I have only 15 of these? I need so many of these. It's just random when they'll pop up while you're running on a track. Yeah.
If chat can count to 5, I donate GP. Oh no. Oh man. No, it's funny though that you brought up doing a charity stream. That's great. No, dude, doing something like that's awesome. And good job on it. Very good job.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think one of my other friends was participating in that as well. I think he did a couple of like horror games as a group, and that was also really funny to watch. It was really good seeing sort of how that went for everyone. Definitely something that I think at some point I'd want to see if I could do like a bit of a charity marathon. But it'd be, hey, if you like a lot of my wonderfully scuffed streams, I'm sure you'll enjoy a lot of the disasters that I've got planned out for that.
Yeah.
I can tell you for sure.
It's for the content.
Look, of course. Look, we'll have some wonderful disasters planned, I'm sure. Right. Where, you know, it'll be fine. Like, it's definitely something that I've been wanting to do. It's probably something that's in the works, we could say.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But man, it's funny. I was like writing down lists of some ideas of things that, you know, I definitely want to do because it has been a little bit, I won't lie, since I've done a classic. We sit down and talk TTRPG stuff, or more specifically, like pull up a book and maybe take a look through things.
That would be really fun. Yeah, not necessarily playing, but just sort of like almost analyzing the book, like a read along kind of.
Oh yeah, and that's something that I've done previously. We've done a couple of those, which have been a lot of fun actually. That's actually how I learned 5e. I learned it we did a whole bunch of streams where I sat down and I read the PHP, then we took a look at the DM's guide, then from there I took a look, I think at PHP 2, which was Tasha's Cauldron, and then from there I okay, don't do this. I pulled up, I was like, you know what? I want to take a look and read some Curse of Strahd, and it's like, okay, I get it. But I can understand why campaign modules are written a specific way. For me and my friends, we typically just make our own settings and our own campaigns. So for me, I really haven't sat down to read a campaign module before. And there is one line on every single NPC that always kills me, and I have to laugh about it, because it's what to do if the players try to kill them. And I'm like, yeah, I figured that's going to have to be there just in case, because, you know.
Yeah.
Not everyone is going to be willing to cooperate, which, by the way, I gotta tell you, and this is rules as written from me, the DM. I'm telling you, this is my rule. Look, if you're going to like actually play in a campaign, be willing to participate, please. Look, your character, then again, this falls back to what we talked about playing evil characters. Participate. Yeah. Don't throw the game. Yep. You can be evil and do evil things, but don't throw the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Then you're going to be in for a treat for that, because I do want to get back into that. I think the last book that we took a look at was the official World of Warcraft D&D 3.5 book. And there's actually like a number of different things that actually like go with it. I think they've released like, I want to say at least 4 or 5 different books. And it's like, we could take a look into more of those in depth if people were interested. It's just, it kind of boils down into being additional supplementary content, which is really good because, I mean, hey, you're taking an IP and then turning it into a tabletop. That's fine. There's more content. But it's interesting to sort of see how it translates, which is also funny because they were like, nah, we're going to make Paladin actually strong in 3.5. And I'm like, yeah, I could tell you guys really like Paladin. Yeah. So it's like, you'll have things like that. You'll have other things like, I am looking into maybe doing a couple of streams where we look at other systems. Like I know I was looking at, what's it called? We looked at the SMT book, which is very interesting. It was a fun read because obviously I'm a bit of a fan of the franchise, but it was fun to sort of see it be converted into a TTRPG. And the interesting thing I learned about it was, so a lot of the Shin Megami Tensei games actually had a popular tabletop scene in Japan. And this was the last book that they combined the PHB and the setting book into one. And they essentially re-released it for global releases. And I hope that they go back, because apparently there's a lot more of these older content books that use the older settings of the Megaden franchise. So it's, I have to laugh because I always jokingly call old SMT, it's Mad Max but with demons. That's really it. So you do get a lot of like variety in like some of these books. And yeah, you had no idea there was one? There is. It's funny. I actually did have a couple of odds on it. It's called SMT Tokyo Conception or something like that. And it's a tabletop version of Nocturne. So if you like the Nocturne setting, definitely a very good one to check out. I do like that they have a lot of different things to go about it, where obviously the main campaign to play is to follow along the story of Nocturne if you wanted to do a long grand campaign. But they did actually have a lot more ideas for some episodic content, like maybe you could have the party jump in at points, beat for beat, or go for smaller missions that they could be. And it's interesting because even they said, while humans are rare in the setting, you could create a faction of humans that exist in different places. And I like it because what really I enjoy about like the Nocturne setting to me is that, or at least about like the SMT setting in a tabletop environment, is a lot of it leans more towards horror. So it's like a horror tabletop in a sense, because some of the scenarios they present you with for locations are kind of gruesome, where you're like, you show up at the aftermath of the battle, there's a big mess, you're not sure if the creature's still around, but how would you deal like with the scenario? Or a case of, you find a human who's one of the last remaining ones in this place. It seems that the area around this building is turned into a toxic swamp, and he seems to be the last survivor, and he's been trying, and it's like a teacher who's been trying to shelter the class to keep them safe from the demons out there. How do you help them? Or other situations like that where I'm like, this is very interesting, and I appreciate that the guys who put the book together sat down and said, hey, we can also come up with some additional scenarios. And they even say, by all means, add more locations, create some new stuff too while you're at it, because this is your book, this is your adventure, you can do what you want. And I think, again, that's my favorite thing about D&D, where it's all about, we'll give you the rules of the game and some basic stuff, and now get out there and have fun, go figure it out, you know?
Yeah.
You want to add some more stuff? Go for it. See, your players unknowingly help the disgruntled necromancer create a world cursed that brings back corpses as zombie versions of themselves to life, and they didn't receive a proper burial. Oh, so a zombie druid could have become an undead. Oh my god, undead wild shapes. Oh no.
Oh god.
Oh dude, yeah, to carve indiscriminate killing. Yeah, it's stuff like that that's really interesting. Oh, and I just remembered. It's funny that you bring that up because I did do something similar in a mini campaign that I wrote, which was kind of horror themed. It was originally meant to be ran around like Halloween, but it's funny. It ended up getting ran like around, I want to say, probably like November or later. It was almost Christmas by then, and it was really funny. And we're running a horror campaign where the idea was like, okay, the players are going to this village, and what's going on is there's what appears to be some sort of fey curse that's going around onto the village, but it's not your typical fey. It ends up being something more, what's it called? Like a corrupted or a cursed fey, where it's sort of a mix of like necromancy with it. Also, what's up, Hawkins? Yeah, we're playing RuneScape. We're doing some laps, talking some tabletop, having some fun. Maybe do some quests later. Hell yeah. So like, we ended up running with that as like the basis for the campaign, and then as it sort of evolved, the players were learning more about, okay, so some sort of necromancer may have been at work to sort of corrupt the forces of the Fae, and going back to like our conversation about balancing, naturally, sort of a big boss fight at the end happens of this campaign, and it's the players fighting the necromancer, or the sorcerer who was touched by the Fae and ends up he was a necromancer, and he wanted to sort of resurrect his daughter and sort of take vengeance on the others who slain her. And it sort of ends up in a weird case where he ends up making a bargain with some sort of Fae creature bigger than him that he can find. And yeah, that was one of your favorite boss fights you ever played. I'm glad that you had a lot of fun with it. And the idea was the players had to sort of creep up to it, where they found the source of the power, and it was coming from a lake. The necromancer himself comes there, and he sort of talks about what had happened, and they end up sort of ensuing into a fight. But what ends up going on was, instead of just the regular like creatures that they were fighting, some of the villagers who were inscribed with a mark end up turning into like sort of fey like wooden zombies, and it's sort of like they creep out and they explode, and it's very dangerous. Some of them turn into giant tree ants that are throwing things, and then the most dangerous thing was actually having a couple of wild hunt archers and hunters hiding into the wings, who would come out and start to take pot shots at the party. Now, the thing is, these creatures, the wild hunt in particular, are very high level creatures, very dangerous archers. So what did I do? I actually scaled them down as much as I could, where I wanted them to still be a threat, that the party should probably take care of them. But at the same time, you know, not so overpowered that it's going to be ridiculous. So what I did was, an example was the archer, his bow was a wooden bow that was sort of merged into his arm. And I had it that, okay, after the players were going to run up and hit him a couple of times, either if he's dodging or if he's just shooting from a distance or something and they get him, I want it to be that the bow will break and he will take one of the broken pieces and now use it as a wooden dagger to try and stab them. Now, this changes it, because no longer are they in danger of getting shot by a crazy high damage arrow. It weakens him a little bit and also changes up his attack pattern. So now, instead of that, he's going to try to go for a hit and run. And that's just sort of how I planned that out. Meanwhile, the party's also fighting the zombies that are coming up from the sides of the map. And like, suddenly the larger tree ant shows up, and they have to deal with this guy as he's chucking explosives, or like chucking like exploding fruit at them or something. It was ridiculous. And we have all these things happening. Now, we talked about how we did the balance. We lowered the damage on that guy, but the party still deals pretty good damage. And I'm not gonna lie, they one-shot they one-shot my boss. It was really funny. But you're gonna love how they did it. But we did it in style. So what we did, yeah, they got to cover multiple fronts. They had a skirmish at the same time. And what they did was, so Kombucha and another party member teamed up on this, and I was like, this is so cool, I gotta let this happen, okay? So the necromancer failed his save and got frozen into a block of ice. And while he was frozen in this block of ice, you're technically considered incapacitated. Now, rules as written in Pathfinder, if you are incapacitated, you can be coup de grace. So, okay. he has to make a save to see if he gets one shot by a coup de grace. So the one guy goes up and freezes him. The other one runs up with his blade and goes for the coup de grace. He passes it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna let this go and let this be like a really cool moment, because not only do they work as a team, he slides in and goes for the execute to knock him out, and it's awesome. But the fight wasn't over then. So, well, they may have taken out the boss. I did prep something in the background just in case, because I was like, I have a feeling, I know these guys are good. They might actually take out the boss very quickly. So what I've got is like a little bit of a special temperament for them. Is instead, we're going to have a backup. And this backup is going to be like a spirit of the wild hunt. And it just turns into like this large shadowy mass that's living within the lake. And it sort of rises up and a mist falls over the lake. And I changed to like a much more intense music track where it's like, they can't reach him because the mist is obscuring him, but he's able to like fire spells out at them. And this led to like some of the coolest things we had ever done, where the party's still fighting the army that's slowly coming onto them while they're dealing with the spirit that's firing really high level spells at them. And in that case, Kombucha was playing a witch and he was getting fired at with Fingers of Death. Now, Fingers of Death is a much dangerous spell, or a much more dangerous spell in
Fingers of Death?
Yeah.
What is that?
In a classic sense. So in 5e, I think they changed it where it just deals a large amount of damage, I believe. Or I don't know if it's exactly in the game rules as written. But in older editions, it is a classic save or die. You need to make a fortitude save, and if you pass, you'll just take damage and you won't die instantly. But what was really cool was Kombucha, I had him being the person who was getting targeted. Now, this is where it gets cool. I made sure I said I prepped 3 of these. It does moderate damage, and it takes... Oh, okay. All right. That makes more sense. Thank you.
Gosh.
So what we did was, I said, all right, here's what we're going to do. The like, elder spirit in the background is targeting him, and he's firing a finger of death at him. What does he do? He burns 1 spell charge. He tries to redirect it, and he ricochets it to another creature that's attacking us. And I was like, you know what? Let's keep doing this. And he fires 3 fingers of death, and he's continually burning all of his spells to like redirect. And it was so cool. I'm like, you know what, bro? Let this go. This is so cool, dude.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. My mental image when you said Fingers of Death, you know, in Kung Fu Panda.
Oh yeah.
Like the little finger move that like makes everything explode. that was my mental image. Like, get you with the finger of death. He's gonna
poke you, and you're just gonna explode like in Fist of the North Star.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. And it's like, to me, that was like such an awesome encounter. We had like a good conclusion. It was very fun. They ended up fighting back enough, and the whole goal was for them to survive as long as they could against it, which, again, this is a situation where, as a DM, you want to make sure that if you're going to have an entertaining, challenging fight, you want it to be also one that's, you know, cool. Because, again, no one likes a scripted fight, okay? But how do we do it in this case? Well, technically, they won already, because they killed the boss very quickly. And this was the backup plan. Yeah. Oh, greater gift of consumption? Okay, there we go. And it's really cool because how we sort of ran that encounter was after that moment, I turned it into, this is now just survive until the time comes. And yeah, no problem, man. And it's like, yeah, what we ended up doing was after a certain number of rounds, I had it that I changed the battle track that we were playing, I killed it, and just had it play like a silent like bell chime. And it's like, okay, now slowly, all of the creatures calm down. Like the huntsman that was trying to like serpentine them, all of the other creatures, they slowly calm down and stop. Some of them wander back into the woods, and the rest of them, the huntsmen, slowly start marching towards the lake until they can almost fall through it, and like they go beneath the surface and you can't see them anymore, and then the pale moon fades from it. And it's like, well, you won the fight, you figured out what's going on. Unfortunately, now the whole village is still under the sights of the Wild Hunt. And now we still have to continue that story at some point. But it was definitely a really good start, and it led to like a good hook for us to continue in with another follow-up campaign. So it's like, to me, when I think of like trying to balance on the fly, in my opinion, I think that's like my favorite encounter that I've ran, because I tried to think of it on, we have a lot of players in our group, so how can I make it so everyone feels like they're doing something? Well, we have some characters that are really good at like serpentining and blitzing down a boss, but we have other characters who have more like crowd control spells or other things like that. So I figured, why don't we do something that's more creative? We can work around that and have a fight where everyone gets to do a little bit of something and it feels good. Because that's the main reason why we're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, my bad. I waxed poetically.
No, but you want everyone to feel like the main character.
Exactly. You know?
So it's important. It's good that you take that into account. It's just like, okay, how are we going to have this big epic fight where everybody's strengths can shine, but it doesn't feel scripted, like you said. This has to be high stakes, because otherwise just kind of, okay, here we go, fight again. Because you know, I've played games before where combat comes up too much, and it's just like, okay, what is the point of this fight? Because depending, if we're playing it and we're not getting EXP or anything, then what is the point? You're just slowing us down for no reason. So if you want there to be, it has to be high stakes, but flow into the story and kind of balancing all those things so it feels like relevant and meaningful, right? And that's the tough part as a DM, and because you really do have to do it on the fly. Like, yeah, you prepare to an extent, but you know, when do DM preparations ever go like the way you expect or plan? Like never ever. Like you can plan a whole dungeon and then they're gonna go left instead and not even go inside. So whatever.
It's so funny that you say that, because I've had that happen. Like in my first campaign where I was DMing, I was like, oh well, that's awkward, I guess we're doing this part of this thing now. And it's like, maybe I should have planned for that. But like, it's a case of, like you said, you can plan as much as you want, but it's never going to go as far as it goes. And I think the best way, and that I've learned, and this is just through experience, was, you know, feeling it out. Plan enough where you have options open, and then leave wiggle room. So if something happens and you need to make a change, you can make that change, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's part of what I enjoy about solo games, is because you're the player and the DM at the same time, you're sort of making it up as you go. Or in like a well-designed game, it's like the world is reacting to you rather than you having to plan stuff out, and I feel like that just it makes it more fun. Now, are there also times where really random stuff happens that's super janky? Sure, but I think it's sort of that fun luck of the draw.
Oh yeah, no, literally luck of the draw. Sometimes watching your stream.
Exactly. Yeah, I was like, cool. Man. What did I get? Oh, it's 4 tanks again.
No, and you're telling me you have to survive this many rounds?
Yeah. Oh, there's 4 tanks and there's 2 random black holes that will spawn at the end of every round? Oh, okay. Like, all right. It's very silly.
Yeah. Oh, and to comment on like what Kombucha mentioned in chat, also some groups prefer to play with more or less combat, and that also it depends on like your people in your party. It depends on like the setting or type of campaign you want to run, because like for example, in my campaign, I try to have a little bit of a balance where we'll have some combat, but then there are some sessions where it's going to be primarily focused on like role playing, because that's what I like. I like a nice, good story with it. Yeah, exactly. And I really agree with him with this. So yeah, that campaign that I ran was very interesting, because we had, he's like, it's just like how in that game we kind of had a multi-generational party with some characters being returning characters who are experienced, and then some new adventurers in the party. And that's right. In that, it worked out really well, because we had some of our party who had been playing with us forever, and then some of my other friends who had never played a tabletop RPG before. So it was their sort of first time doing an adventure in this setting with these rules, and it was very cool because it worked out well, because we had our veteran characters with returning characters from other campaigns that were also helping out these new adventurers and sort of giving them the ropes every once in a while as well. And it was very cool. I did like how that panned out as well.
That's awesome.
You love talking your way out of situations. Yeah, and it can be really funny too. Like, that's some of the best things about it. Also, Goblin, I completely agree. Sometimes the dice chooses violence. Look, it chooses violence when I roll a 1 and I'm like, don't make me throw you into the oven. I'm gonna cook that dice. You're gonna always roll a 20, trust me.
Relatable.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. dude.
There was
go for it.
So I play in this like West Marches campaign, and we did this quest line recently where it was really suspicious, and there were these like fey dragons, but because my character was a dragonborn and kind of a himbo, I just accepted everything they said at face value, and I just did everything that they told me to. And there was another character in our group that was really kind of the more squirrely, cynical character, and he just kept yelling at us the whole time, like, why are we doing this? What are you doing? But then in the end, it turned out fine. We got treasure. It was like completely fine. But we were talking about it after, and the DM was like, oh yeah, you totally could have chosen violence. Like, you could have attacked them instead, and that would have been a very different like a super different outcome. But it's just kind of funny thinking of the choice there. Like, if we had chosen to be super suspicious and just go ham on this little fey dragon village, it would have been really and just kind of imagining. But meanwhile, I was just like, yes, oh, you want me to solve this puzzle and to play this cursed violin? Sure, okay, yeah.
Oh man,
it all turned out fine.
No, and it's funny because I think that ends up being really funny because even in our most recent campaign, I think we also had a similar situation with like a fey village, and it was really funny because like, even though like in our campaigns we do like very serious role playing, or we try to like have more complex moments, we'll still have some funny beats where like, okay, we end up figuring out what's going on in the village, that there's some sort of fey powers at work here, and how do we deal with it? We end up having to do a dating show with it, and it's so funny because he's like, okay, everyone go to each door, and then you have to go on a date with someone who's behind that door, and then from there, once you get their favor, we'll be able to convince them to leave the village alone and let the villagers go, and everything will be fine. Okay, cool. So we all go to each different door of the village houses and sort of ask them questions. One person's like, I will destroy you. I will rip you in half. And the other person's like, please don't look at me. The other person is mimicking whatever you say or something. And then the last person's like, yeah, I'd be down to hang out. You want to do that? It'll be fine. And it was so funny. So one person has a very meek, quiet person as their date who ends up turning into a monster. And the Fae sort of put down the rules saying, you need to win. You need to at least pass a couple of dates to prove that you are worthy of our trust. And it's like, okay, fine. We'll try it. Sure. So we have the broody necromancer teenager. We have that guy. We have the older we have the older spirit talking man, which was my character. We have a cleric who's an amnesiac, and then we have a robot. And we're like, well, oh, and the dashing rogue. So it's like, okay, we've got quite a few people. I think our dashing rogue had the meek person who ended up turning into a monster. We had our robot go on a date with someone where he changed his personality to sort of match their vibe, and that was good. Then we got to, let's see. Your character was not having any of this, but out of character, you wanted to see where it went? Absolutely, it was so funny. And of course, well, he was playing the necromancer, so he's like, you know what, I'll go with the doors, like, I'm going to destroy you. And he's like, well, this is the very hostile date. And it was so funny because they're just like trying to like explode at him or something, I think. And it was funny. It just consisted of them being moody to each other, sitting there on a date. And then it's like, okay, well, it was my character's turn. And he opens the door, and it's a fairy. He comes out, and he's got a mug. He's like, hey, you want to go drinking, dude? And it's like, hell yeah. We pull up the table, and we're sitting there drinking. And he's like, man, it's tough out there. He's like, so what's up with you? I'm like, well, you know, trying to find a way to bring my wife back. She's the ghost over there. He's like, ooh, tough. She okay with you sitting here drinking with me on a date? And he looks back, and it's like, the DM's like, she is not very happy with you. I'm like, right. Nah, not that great. And he goes, that's okay, man. Cheers. This one's on me. So, what's your favorite thing? He goes, so is she hot or something? And my character looks back, he goes, yeah. And we're just going back and forth. And he goes, hey, you want a refill on that? He's like, hold up, I got you. Pours me another mug. Thanks, man. Cheers. And meanwhile, the party's just like, what is going on? We're just watching like, we're watching the two dudes just hang out and have a beer. And he's like, you're a nice guy. You know what? Hey, if you're ever back in the Empire, meet me over there. Let's go have another pint, dude. And he was just so chill.
This whole conversation, though, is making me think that, like, a whole campaign where it's, like, Survivor plus Love Island D&D would actually be so funny.
Dude, it would be so funny. Yeah, probably should mention that his ghost wife was watching the whole time this was going down in real time. Absolutely. It was very funny. The whole time the DM's like, she is glaring at you. I'm like, yeah, that's probably how this is gonna go.
Deserved.
It's like, fair point. Valid. Oh, man. That campaign's a lot of fun.
There's like a isn't there like a TTRPG called Deathmatch Island? Could somebody sort of like hack that to make it Deathmatch Island, but also it's dating? So it's like a dating game, but then every night somebody dies or something.
Oh my god. I'm imagining Love Island, the TTRPG.
Yeah.
Oh god. Like, someone needs to make a one-sheeter of that now.
The stakes, in order to raise the stakes, at the end of every other night or something, they're going to summon a bunch of eldritch monsters onto the island. So it's like, hurry up. Or like, oh, hey, don't they say that love, you fall in love in dangerous situations? Here you go. Here's some dangerous situations for you.
Oh my god, that's too funny. Fabula Ultima seems like you can hack it in. Also, what's up, Snark McClark? Dude, that's a sick name. So good.
Hey.
Also, my face when I realize I think my ping on this server is lagging in RuneScape. Because I'm like clicking on this and sometimes it's just like, we'll just take a second.
Just British things.
Look, man, that's what happens when most of the servers are located in Great Britain and I'm like, well, not there, okay?
Right. Very
RuneScape moment. No, when you get eliminated, they just kill you. Damn, true. EU ping, yeah, for real. Oh my god, it's funny. This is taking me back to like when we would run dungeons on WoW Kombucha, where if we joined like, I think it was like a Ragnaros server group, we'd be put onto like, I think Latin America North, and the ping is so different. And it's like, wow, why do I just suddenly have 200 ping and can barely play the game? No, it's Oceanic, correction, thank you. Yeah, and I'm like, wow, I can barely play the game. I love Australia. Oh, man.
Yeah, I love Australia, but when I visited, that was definitely one of the big drags, was like how bad their internet was, and free Wi-Fi is not a thing. Like, you go to a coffee shop, nowhere. They don't have Wi-Fi. I was like, okay, I don't mind, let's buy a coffee and can we sit down and get some Wi-Fi? She's like, oh no, that's not a thing here. I'm like, what?
Oh my god.
What do you mean that's not a thing?
That's crazy.
Like, why do you even go to coffee shops? Hello?
I've never been there. That's crazy. I've never heard of that. Like,
it was really great, except for that.
Like, at most, it's like, I've been, when I went to Japan, like, oh my god, well, first off, you have to, like, get your Wi-Fi card and all that, and I have to laugh because we'd be carrying around, like, our portable Wi-Fi things just so we can use our phone to access websites, and I still, to this day, cannot stop laughing at Japanese web design infrastructure, because holy shit, dude.
Oh, it's bad. Oh, yeah, all their
so
websites are stuck in the 90s. It's, truly,
like, I think the funniest thing was, okay, so I have a story that I can tell you guys about this. So when I went to Japan, when it was time for us to leave, me and my friends, we split up into two groups to make our way home because, one of us, we were like, okay, we'll do the overnight flight, or one of us will do like a midday flight. And here's when I found out, in Japan, there's only one airport that's open 24 hours a day.
Yep.
And I found that out the hard way as me and my friends that night took some cabs and we got all the way over to Kobe, and we got to the airport in the dead of night, and it was a wonderful monsoon, and their airport is like on a third island, just a way offshoot, and you have to walk across an extremely long bridge that was under construction. So we're like, it's cold, it's raining, I feel miserable. We set up like a little circle with our luggage, and we're sitting outside the airport because of course we got kicked out because they closed, and we're like, what airport closes? And then it's like, oh, okay, so now what? We're sitting on some stairs in like a closed subway entrance, and we're just freezing, and we're like, I hate it here, man. I go, there's spiders everywhere. It's cold. I'm wet. I want to go home, and I can't. What do we do now? And it's like, I think there's a picture of just the three of us with the most miserable expressions sitting on a bench in the rain. And we're just like, well, what now? Well, it gets worse. Because as we're just sitting there, and it's like an hour or two rolls by, and then what happens? A police officer rolls up, and of course, I can't speak Japanese. We both pull out our phones to translate and discuss. Yep. And he's like, okay, what are you doing here? I'm like, we didn't know the airport closed. And of course, could you blame us? Their website didn't make it obvious, and we couldn't tell. Yeah. So he's like, okay, how many of there are you? I'm like, there's at least 3 of us. Okay. Do you guys have luggage? Yeah, we do. Oh, okay. He goes, give me like a couple of minutes. He walks away. He comes back. And just to put in perspective, this is now like 1, 2 in the morning. We're in the middle of this heavy thundering storm in the middle of nowhere in an airport in Japan. And I'm like, dude, what am I doing right now? He pulls me over and he brings me into like the mini police station that's there, where I'm at a desk and I have 5 cops trying to talk to me, where they're passing the translator around, and it's so funny because I'm like, I get it, they're doing their best and I appreciate it, but it is very comedic how I have 5 cops passing a translator around to try and talk to me, to ask me, what is your name? Cool. Why are you here? Yeah. What do you want to do? I'm like, is there like a hotel nearby that we could go to? Sure. And it's like, we went through like a whole back and forth, and eventually they were nice enough to help us get a cab. But it was, oh my God, I'm never going to forget that. Just sitting there in the most miserable storm of my life going, man, I would rather be anywhere. We could have just waited. We should have waited for the later flight. We wouldn't have had to do this. But here we are.
Now you have a great story.
Oh, yeah. And the funniest thing was, so we get to a hotel, and you could tell everything closes like around like 8 or 9, I think, over there. So it's super quiet. We get there, the lights are dim and everything. And even like the lobby, one guy pulled up and he's like, hey, I got you. This is your room. That's fine. We crashed in there. Like everyone, like we got into the hotel, and we were just damp, and we didn't care. We were so tired. Everyone threw themselves down on a bed, and we were just like, I just don't want to get up for like a couple hours. We wake up, we get in the cab the next morning, and the cab driver, one of the chillest dudes I'd ever met, and he immediately started laughing when I told him the story. He goes, damn. First off, he was speaking back and forth with me on this. He goes, yeah, he goes, I speak English. I lived in America for a while. I came back home. And he's like, don't worry. He goes, this happens to a lot of people. You're not the first guy I've had to give a cab ride to like this, and you won't be the last one. And it was funny because he goes, as you can see, the area is modernizing. It's kind of cool. And it's very interesting because, we did go through Kobe, and a lot of Kobe seemed to be changing. And I was like, oh, interesting. I was noticing like there was a lot of construction, and even apparently like that airport, they were working to expand it. And he's like, at some point they might make this a more international airport, which would help them out. But it was really cool sort of talking with someone who was like local to the area on that. And very chill. And eventually we got on our flight, and oh my God, that was the most miserable flight that I had to take, where I'm like, it was like a 14-hour flight, and I felt like I got sick for like a week after that. And the worst thing was the jet lag, where basically all of my friends, we had become nocturnal for our time zone.
Right, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Of course. I love that.
And it's like, would I do it again? Oh, you bet your ass. It's very cool. It's very nice. When I went there, I think I had more fun when we were in Osaka than Tokyo. Tokyo was very cool, but as someone that me and my friends live near big city or in big city, definitely very different of an experience. It's a different type of city. But when we went to Osaka, it was quite nice. It was a nice sort of change of pace with like a variety in like locations around, and then us just hopping on the Shinkansen and going around was really cool.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Oh yeah,
because their public transit is so much. I really
it's
actually
really
would call
good.
It fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's honestly the most surprising part.
We went the wrong way and started going towards Shinjuku during rush hour traffic.
Oh no!
So I got to experience. Every time I open a can of sardines, I suddenly have so much appreciation for the sardines. Like we were all pressed up together. Like it was almost like there was not a single part of my body that was not touching somebody else because we were just all squished in. Man, and I was just thinking because I was surrounded by all these salarymen, right? And I'm just like, y'all do this every day? You do this every day. In
most nicest way I could say. Been there, done that, and it's like,
not fun. Oh, but it was the best part of that was doing that, being stuck like that for a couple of stops.
Oh god.
And then like a couple stops, I feel a tap on my shoulder. That's my husband, and he goes, So we're going on the wrong line.
Oh no. So you're like, wait,
we're
the
going
wrong line? Way. No.
Yeah. So just suffering for no reason. So got to
Oh no.
So had to like, Sumio-san, just push our way off at the next Sumio-san, push our way off to the next stop, and then try to hurry. Like, okay, where the heck are we now? And trying to figure out, okay, how do we get back to where we were? Like, back to where we were. So we're gonna have to get back on the So super packed train again, going back the other way. And we did get to where we were supposed to get to, but it was just like,
oh yeah, no.
We suffered I do for like no reason.
I do like though how their train system is very circular, where where I'm at, it's like it's more like you'll have one route that goes a specific way, then you need to backtrack like at least over an hour plus, and you're like, oh god, you're killing me here. Oh man.
Yeah. So at least because that was like within the Tokyo area, they keep running for a while because people have to get home. And they're out drinking for work. And all
that's
that stuff.
right. Wait, do trains stop after a certain point? I forgot.
They do, but especially those Tokyo metro lines, it does take a while. I can't remember, but I feel it does eventually shut down. But I want to say you have until like a little past midnight.
I want you to know that like sent a shock through my brain because I'm like, I cannot imagine something like that happening over where I'm at here because oh my god, you do that. Well, everyone start walking over some bridges, get walking, swim across a river if you have to.
But you're just SOL, right? Like
you're pretty much. I'm like, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of funny, but also kind of because I've seen when the metro gets like flooded and stuff, right? Like, what are you supposed to just call in at that point?
Yeah, I've seen videos. I'm like, what do you do? I'm like, the train's flooded. What do I do? Swim.
Like, I can't leave.
Get in there.
Yeah, because you literally there's places where you can't, like, even if you wanted to take a car, like you can't. It's not going to help you anyways. So that's
I can only imagine. Yeah. It's like I will say it was a very nice experience. I was really surprised by how good the trains were. You were not kidding when you're like, they're really like nice and fun. And it's like, transportation over there, pretty good. Just anytime you have to pull up a web browser though, I'm just like, dude. I'm reminded of like they live in both the future and the past at the same time. I'm impressed.
Yeah. The thing I really like about their buses and stuff too is they're super on time, and when if the bus pulls up and the guy he's like literally 30 seconds late and he's like, oh Moshua, like I'm so sorry, blah blah blah, like it's literally fine.
You're like no, it's no problem, we're good. Like meanwhile it's like
I'm so sorry.
I can't imagine a bus driver here doing something like that. They would look at you and be like, that's your problem, man.
Right, exactly.
Oh man, that's too funny.
Yeah. Okay, I need to go and make dinner. But I will pop back maybe if you're still around. Because I think my stream today is just going to be like a productivity one anyway, so I probably could just hang out and do both.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so I'm gonna go do that and then check back in a little while.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for popping in here. And of course, by all means, you're always welcome to pop back in later.
Yeah, it's strangely mesmerizing just watching you jump from rooftop to rooftop. Yeah, that's all you're doing, but it's like weirdly, you know, like when kids will put on Subway Surfers videos next to what they're trying to be like, this is what I need. Just like, this is just you jumping the rooftops while I'm trying to read this research paper or whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna go cook.
Go eat something. Don't starve. Go take care of that.
Yeah. All right. See you.
Yep. Catch it. Thanks again for popping in.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh man. Hime, everybody. Oh man. Look, tell you what, we'll finish up this lap. And we'll do some actual content. we'll stop the infinite running simulator for a little bit. You know, it's been fun doing that. But let's see. What do we want to do? Oh my god, we only got 25. Only 25 of these. Kind of brutal. Okay, wait. How many do I actually have? Okay, here's where we escape the rune, and I learn how to play the game.